Ilia versus Charles do Bronx Oliveira. We know Charles, he's a dangerous, aggressive son of a bitch. He's gonna walk forward, punch his knees, elbows, he'll lock on a submission. Ilia, this is his first fight at lightweight, and with the punching power of Ilia Topuria,
You're fighting on the Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria card. Charles is a big underdog. How do you see that fight going?
Yeah, that's a tougher matchup that a lot of people think. They think Topuria gonna run through Charles. You never count Charles Oliveira out. I think he's very tough. But Topuria is good, you know? He's 145. It's going to be a tough fight for both fighters. I don't have an opinion on that. I was leaning more to Topuria.
I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria. The reason why is because when you look at Charles Oliveira's last couple of fights, you know, when he fought Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, you know, Michael Chandler even, he's been hurt in every single one of those fights. Yeah. He gets dropped and he goes to his back. And then a lot of those guys, even Islam hurt him on the feet.
He stands up tall. He marches forward almost in a Muay Thai stance, and he pushes people backwards. He puts the pressure on people, and Ilia Topuria, he does the same thing. He presses people backwards.
Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a thing. Let's get into it. Demetrious Johnson thinks Charles Oliveira does have a path to victory over Ilia Topuria, and that path starts with height. He brought up Topuria's fight against Jai Herbert, where the taller Herbert was able to hurt Ilia several times. Still, Topuria showed composure, adjusted his approach, and eventually scored the knockout. Johnson explained that Oliveira, with his aggressive finishing style and dangerous striking, could find success the same way. But despite acknowledging Charles's weapons, Demetrious sided with Topuria, praising his mental toughness and ability to survive under pressure. He added that a finish is almost guaranteed in this fight. Both guys are finishers, and he'd be surprised if it goes all 5 rounds.
Now, Charles Oliveira can win that fight because we have seen Ilia Topuria been hurt before from a taller guy by Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert was able to rock him multiple times, but Ilia Topuria was able to make the adjustments, and he ended up knocking out Jai Herbert. So at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria, and I know someone's getting knocked the fuck out. Somebody's getting finished. Like, yeah, if nobody gets finished, I will be shocked.
Johnson then broke down one of the biggest X factors, the clinch. According to him, Ilia's best work comes from range, where he throws sharp checks and then bursts forward with 5-punch combos. But Johnson pointed out something crucial. We haven't really seen Ilia in tight clinch battles. In close quarters, things change fast. Fighters may shoot for takedowns, pull guard, or fight dirty in the clinch. He believes if Oliveira can bring the fight into that area, it opens up a different game. Charles is dangerous in close range, working the body and head. There's risk, of course. Walking into a knee is always possible. But if Charles manages to make it ugly in the clinch, that could change everything.
I think somebody who's able to expose him, like, he's very good at that range of that, like, slow check, and he gets in there, he throws like 5-punch combinations. But once somebody gets him in that clinch, that area, that's where I think we will see how he reacts, because when you get in that clinch, they're either going to shoot, they're either going to run a Barza guard, they're either going to clinch back, they're either, like, I feel like that area we haven't seen him fight. And then Charles can get him there. Obviously, if he grabs a clinch, he can go body head, but when he does body head, you can still bang him in a knee, so it's a give and take. If Charles can get him there, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Going deeper, Demetrious highlighted how Oliveira's height and clinch ability might create real issues for Topuria. He pointed out that while Ilia's body head combos are brutal, Charles could use his reach to create angles, land knees, and open space. Johnson said, "The clinch is where things could get interesting since Ilia hasn't been fully tested there." He added, "If I was fighting Ilia, I'd avoid the outside and takedowns, choosing the clinch instead, where elbows and short shots come into play. That's where I want to see what he would do. Hopefully I get a mighty journey with him and put his ass in the clinch myself. But you know, he don't want to talk to Mickey Mouse."
Obviously, he go body head, knock him out because Charles was taller. But, you know, Charles can use that to step to the side and knee him when he throws that body and move and shuck. I think that's where I feel like if I was to fight Ilia, I would fight him in the clinch. It's like, okay, outside he hits too hard, he's gonna stalk me. If I shoot, he's gonna defend, and then and he's gonna back up, or he might try to take me down. What would he do in the clinch? Because I know he's gonna go body to body. He goes body, I go elbow to. I mean, that's where I'm like, how I want to see what he would do. Hopefully, I get a mighty journey with him and put his ass in the clinch myself. But you know, he don't want to talk to Mickey Mouse.
Renato Moicano also gave his opinion, saying the fight is way more competitive than most people think. While Ilia is the popular pick, Moicano pushed back, pointing to Oliveira's grit, experience, and finishing skills. He added that the fact Ilia is moving up from featherweight brings an extra level of uncertainty. He admitted he originally leaned toward Topuria, but after a recent podcast with Charles on his Brazilian channel, his heart changed. It's very hard to not like the guy, Moicano said. That makes it harder to pick against him. So I'm going with Charles just because he's Brazilian.
You're fighting on the Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria card. Charles is a big underdog. How do you see that fight going?
Yeah, that's a tougher matchup that a lot of people think. They think Topuria gonna run through Charles. You never count Charles Oliveira out. I think he's very tough. But Topuria is good, you know. He's 145. It's going to be a tough fight for both fighters. I don't have one opinion on that. I was leaning more to Topuria, but today I just had a podcast with Charles on my Brazilian channel. It's just very hard to not like the guy. That makes harder, you know, to pick against him. So I'm going with Charles just because he's Brazilian.
Khamzat Chimaev also gave Ilia big props, reflecting on their early training sessions at All Stars Gym. Even before Topuria was a star, Chimaev saw greatness brewing. He recalled both of them fighting at Brave FC and said even back then, Ilia stood out, disciplined, driven, and focused. Chimaev said the version of Topuria we see today is exactly what he expected. Years of hard work, and now he's at the top of the sport.
Очень известный сейчас боец. Ты с ним вроде как давно знаком. Он тренировался в Альстаре вместе, вот до еще его всей известности. Когда вот тренировки ты его видел, ты видел этот потенциал будущий?
Ну, конечно, просто тогда, в то время, этот был он хорошим топовым бойцом в Брейве, как я, и оба там выступали. Видно было, потому что он такой пахарь и хочет добиться чего-то в своей жизни. И парень добился всех высот, которые можно в этом спорте добиться.
Demetrious Johnson later doubled down on his prediction. He's sticking with Ilia Topuria. He explained that Oliveira, in fights against Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, and even Islam Makhachev got dropped repeatedly. Each time, Charles fell to his back, and most opponents didn't follow him down, letting him recover and return to his feet. That pattern, Johnson thinks, might not work against a sharp finisher like Topuria.
I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria. The reason why is because when you look at Charles Oliveira's last couple of fights, you know, when he fought Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, you know, Michael Chandler even, he's been hurt in every single one of those fights. Yeah. He gets dropped and he goes to his back. And then a lot of those guys, even Islam hurt him on the feet. And a lot of those guys don't follow him to the ground. They allow him to get back up and he gets back in a gunfight and he's able to put those guys out. Now, I am betting on that Ilia Topuria is going to hurt him, and when he does hurt him, he's going to fall into the ground and try to finish him like Islam did.
Tim Welch also weighed in, comparing both fighters' styles. He described them as aggressive, forward pressure machines who don't like to take a step back.
He stands up tall, he marches forward almost in a Muay Thai stance, and he pushes people backwards. He puts the pressure on people, and Ilia Topuria, he does the same thing. He presses people backwards. God, that's a sick fight. Obviously there's ways for both of them to win, and it'll really surprise a lot of people if Charles knees him in the lips or kicks him in the dome piece. Someone gives you 10 G's.
Welch noted that Oliveira often starts strong, storming forward with confidence. That confidence, he says, comes from Charles's insane guard. He's got one of the best guards in MMA. He'll butcher you from the guard. If you overextend on one punch, he's going to be crawling his legs up. You're going to be defending off an omoplata or something.
Comes out, gets in your grill. He stands so tall because he trusts his guard so much. He's got one of the best guards in MMA. He'll butcher you from the guard, and if you overextend yourself on one punch, he's gonna be crawling his legs up. You're gonna be defending off an omoplata, something.
He then praised Ilia's unique style, saying, "Just watching him and his calmness and his patient pressure and how loose he is. Usually people can't really get away with that wide boxing low stance. And he just does. It's just so sick. Makes it look good too."
Topuria is just something special to watch. Just watching him and his calmness and his patient pressure and how loose he is, and usually people can't really get away with that wide boxing low stance, and he just does. It's just so sick.
Makes him look good too.
Paddy Pimblett gave his 2 cents too, saying he favors Topuria slightly, but recognizes Charles is no easy task. He respects Oliveira's experience, but questions whether Charles can still take big shots after such a long career. With almost 40 fights under his belt, Paddy wonders if the chin can still hold up. He also noted that Charles's risky, aggressive approach might not be wise against a powerful and sharp striker like Ilia.
Ilia beats Charles then?
I think he might, to be honest. Charles is a bit chinny, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's had about 40 fights or something. He always gets punched. He always gets cracked.
Yeah.
So,
he's reckless, but he's super exciting.
Yeah, he is.
And he's dangerous.
Exciting. If he gets him down, I can see him winning, because that £10 difference is a big difference.
Yeah.
145, 155, it's a big difference. People don't understand that because they don't watch the sport or they're not involved in the sport. But that £10 makes a big difference. And especially, like, Charles is like my height. Ilia's like down here and a stand-up, you know what I mean? So it's gonna make a big difference. Like,
Paddy added something else. He thinks Ilia might be surprised when he sees Oliveira in the cage. Ilia might get a bit of a fright at how big Charles is when he stands opposite him. Fighters do that with me who fight at lightweight. You know what I mean? I'll never forget Bobby Green looking over at me and being like, wow, he's big. Same with Chandler. People thought Chandler was going to be bigger than me, and he just weren't.
Ilia might get a bit of a fright at how big Charles is when he stands opposite him. Fighters do that with me who fight at lightweight. You know what I mean? I'll never forget Bobby Green looking over at me and being like, wow, he's big, him. Same with Chandler. But people thought Chandler was going to be bigger than me, and he just weren't.
Robert Whittaker also spoke about the buzz Ilia has brought into the lightweight division. He mentioned reports that the UFC offered Ilia a title shot if he gave up his featherweight belt, and said he's all for giving top-level champions big opportunities when they move up.
I think the lightweight division is the most exciting division right now. It's just death row in the lightweight division at the moment. Like the top 5, dude, that guard up there right now, it's just killers, man.
But especially with Ilia Topuria entering the mix, right? The whole big story over the past week was he obviously vacated the title at featherweight, but apparently he said the UFC told him, we promise you a title opportunity if you vacate. That's what he told Spanish media. Or I think he said as a backup he would fight Charles Oliveira. And now they've gone back and forth. What do you reckon, Rob?
I don't know what was promised or anything, but I feel like if you're in a lower division and you vacate the title, you should go straight to the top of the pecking order. I'd like to see him go straight into a title shot. Okay. Understandably, it can be tricky that way because there are a lot of guys, like, styles make fights. So if the champion of a lighter division has a better style to beat the guy in the high division, where's the fairness of that? Because that guy may not get through 10 guys to get to a title shot. He may not get through the contenders. Yeah, I just feel like there should be a certain amount of weight for being the champion of the division already. I can also see the side of the argument for the guys in the division that have been like, brother, like, I've had to slog, especially in the lightweight division, like, I've had to slog my way to the top of this division, and it is death row there. I think UFC's going to do what makes them the most money.
Michael Bisping joined the conversation too, saying Oliveira is always dangerous. Non-stop aggression, wild striking, and constantly looking to snatch a submission.
Ilia versus Charles do Bronx Oliveira. We know Charles, he's a dangerous, aggressive son of a bitch. Gonna walk forward, punches, knees, elbows, he'll lock on a submission. Ilia, this is his first fight at lightweight, and with the punching power of Ilia Topuria, the boxing that he has, the footwork that he has, and the Greco-Roman wrestling, it wouldn't surprise me if Ilia pulls it up.
Bisping then gave props to Topuria's meteoric rise, saying Ilia's confidence is backed up by clean, dominant wins every time he steps into the octagon.
Ilia Topuria, given everything that he's done in the sport, the confidence that he's shown, the manifestation, the kids say, but bringing it all to a reality, knocking out everyone in his way, doing it in absolute style, hardly breaking a sweat, not having to fight through any adversity, not being the hammer and the nail. He's just been the hammer, just hammering his way through everyone. If he beats Charles Oliveira, which I would assume that he's going to be the favourite to do, and that's with absolutely no disrespect towards Charles Oliveira.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned. This fight's going to be wild.